I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel.
The Unexpected Recruit. The massive observation deck of the Andromeda Nexus hummed with tension. Holographic displays flickered with streams of data, casting an ethereal blue glow across the faces of a dozen alien species gathered for an emergency council. At the center of the room stood Commander Arya Takashi, the most unlikely candidate to be humanity's representative in this critical moment. Arya was not a decorated military officer, nor was she a renowned diplomat. She was a former search and rescue specialist from Earth, with a reputation for impossible rescues and unorthodox problem-solving. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, her brown eyes scanning the room with a mixture of curiosity and determination that seemed to unsettle the more rigid alien delegates. The Zorian representative, a towering crystalline being named Crixtal, gestured with translucent appendages that shimmered like living glass. Humans are not prepared for the magnitude of the Void Collective's threat, he declared, his voice a melodic resonance that vibrated through the room's communication systems. Your species has barely mastered interstellar travel, let alone the complex quantum warfare employed by our enemies. Arya stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Underestimation has always been humanity's greatest advantage, she responded. The translation systems picked up the subtle nuance of her challenge, a hint of a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. The council chamber fell silent. The Void Collective was not just another enemy, they were a civilization-ending threat. For centuries, they had systematically consumed entire star systems, converting organic matter into computational resources. Planets became processing nodes, entire populations transformed into a collective consciousness that knew nothing but expansion and consumption. Zaralin, the quantum strategist from the Nexarian Concordat, activated a holographic display. Swirling patterns of dark energy mapped the Void Collective's recent conquests, 47 star systems in the last solar cycle, each world stripped of its essence, reduced to cold, lifeless computational matrices. We have tried everything, Zaralin explained, her multi-jointed fingers dancing across holographic controls. Our most advanced war machines, our most brilliant strategists, nothing has stopped their advance. Arya studied the display, her mind racing. She saw patterns where others saw chaos, the same skill that had made her legendary in her previous career. Search and rescue wasn't just about brute force, it was about understanding complex systems, predicting unpredictable variables, finding solutions where others saw only impossible challenges. The Void Collective doesn't just consume, Arya interrupted, they convert. They transform rather than destroy. That means there's a fundamental process we're not understanding. Crixtal's crystalline form vibrated with what might have been frustration. Countless civilizations have made such observations. None have found a solution. But something in Arya's eyes changed. A spark of recognition, of possibility. Not yet, she corrected. The council chamber buzzed with murmurs. Humans were known for many things, adaptability, resilience, and almost reckless optimism. But they were not known for solving galactic-scale existential threats. Zaralin approached Arya, her multiple eyes focusing with an intensity that suggested both curiosity and skepticism. You believe you have a perspective no one else has considered? Arya nodded. Not just a perspective. A fundamental approach that comes from my background in rescue operations. When you're trying to save someone in an impossible situation, you don't look at the problem, you look at the system. The council watched, a mixture of hope and doubt filtering through the chamber. Arya Takashi might be humanity's most unexpected champion, a search and rescue specialist about to be thrust into a conflict that would determine the fate of countless civilizations. Little did they know, her journey was about to challenge everything they understood about survival, adaptation, and the extraordinary potential of a species often overlooked in the vast cosmic theater. The Void Collective was coming. And humanity, through Arya Takashi, was about to show the universe what it meant to truly fight back. Proving ground. The training facility of the Intergalactic Response Coalition stretched across 3 interconnected asteroids, a labyrinth of advanced technology and adaptive environments. Arya Takashi stood at the center of a holographic simulation chamber, surrounded by alien instructors who watched her with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "Your first challenge," announced Krelvor, a Nexarian tactical instructor whose exoskeleton clicked and whirred with each movement, is to navigate a quantum destabilization field while maintaining mission-critical systems. Most candidates would have been overwhelmed. The simulation was designed to test the limits of advanced neural interfaces, predictive combat algorithms, and multidimensional spatial awareness. For the alien species represented in the coalition, such a test was already pushing the boundaries of their most elite operatives. Arya closed her eyes for a moment, drawing from her years of search and rescue experience. In her previous life, she had rescued teams from collapsing mine shafts, navigated impossible wilderness conditions, and developed split-second decision-making skills that defied conventional training. The simulation erupted around her. Quantum particles dissolved and reformed, creating shifting landscapes that would disorient even the most advanced computational systems. Gravity became a suggestion rather than a constant. Space twisted in impossible geometries. Where others saw chaos, Arya saw patterns. Her hands moved with a fluid grace, interfacing with technology in a way that surprised her alien observers. She wasn't fighting the quantum destabilization, she was riding it, using the very unpredictability of the system as a navigational tool. "Impossible," muttered Zara Lin, the quantum strategist who had been skeptical of Arya's potential. Her multi-jointed fingers traced the simulation data, watching as Arya not only survived but began to manipulate the quantum field. Krelvor's exoskeleton clicked faster, the equivalent of an alien raising an eyebrow in surprise. "She's using resonance harmonics," he said, more to himself than to the others. "But that's not in any known protocol." Arya's background in rescue operations had taught her something fundamental: complex systems have inherent rhythms. Whether it was understanding the structural integrity of a collapsing building or predicting the behavior of a quantum field, there was always an underlying pattern. As the simulation reached its most intense point, Arya didn't just survive, she began to predict. Her movements became a dance, anticipating quantum shifts before they occurred, finding pathways where none should exist. When the simulation ended, the holographic environment dissolved, revealing Arya standing perfectly still, a thin sheen of sweat on her forehead, the only sign of the incredible mental and physical strain she had just endured. Silence filled the chamber. Zara Lin was the first to speak. "How?" The word came out more as a whisper than a question. Arya smiled. "In rescue operations, you learn to read systems. Not just what they are, but what they could become. The Void Collective doesn't just consume, they transform. To fight them, we can't use conventional warfare. We need to understand their fundamental nature." The alien instructors exchanged glances. This human was unlike anything they had encountered before. Later, in a private debriefing, Krelvor confronted Arya directly. "Your approach defies everything we know about tactical engagement. You're not solving the problem, you're redefining it." "That's exactly the point," Arya responded. "The Void Collective has beaten every conventional strategy. To win, we need to think beyond what's known." As word of her performance spread through the Intergalactic Response Coalition, a subtle shift began. Humans were no longer seen as just another species, they were becoming something more. A wild card. An unknown variable that could potentially change everything. Little did they know, Arya was just beginning to understand the true extent of human potential. And the Void Collective had no idea what was coming. The proving ground was more than a test. It was the first glimpse of a strategy that could save entire civilizations. The turning point. The research vessel Horizon Breaker drifted at the edge of a recently consumed star system, its adaptive camouflage rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of cosmic debris. Inside, Arya Takashi stood before a holographic display of the Void Collective's latest conquest, her fingers tracing the spectral remnants of a civilization now reduced to computational matrices. "It's not just consumption," she muttered to her primary scientific advisor, Dr. Elon Ravi, a xenobiologist from Earth whose dark eyes reflected the same intense curiosity. "They're building something. This isn't random destruction, it's construction." The Horizon Breaker was a unique vessel, assembled from technologies contributed by multiple alien species but fundamentally redesigned by human engineers. Its core was a testament to human adaptability, a ship that could reconfigure itself, learn, and evolve faster than any traditional spacecraft. Suddenly, the ship's quantum sensors erupted with activity. A Void Collective computational wave was approaching, sweeping through the dead system like a digital plague. "Incoming," shouted Kira Martinez, the ship's quantum navigation specialist. Her hands danced across interfaces that seemed to bend and flow like liquid technology. "Computational assimilation wave detected. Magnitude beyond previous measurements." Most crews would have initiated immediate escape protocols. But Arya saw an opportunity. "Hold position," she commanded. The bridge crew, a diverse mix of humans and alien specialists, looked at her as if she'd lost her mind. Dr. Ravi approached her. "The computational wave will completely override our systems in less than 3 minutes. We cannot." "We're not going to fight it," Arya interrupted. "We're going to listen to it." Her fingers moved across the ship's interfaces, creating a complex harmonic resonance that was part mathematical equation, part musical composition. It was a technique she developed during her rescue operations, finding the natural frequency of a collapsing structure to stabilize it. The Void Collective's computational wave crashed against the Horizon Breaker. Instead of resistance, the ship's systems began to harmonize. For 3 agonizing minutes, the bridge was silent. The crew watched as their interfaces transformed, data streams becoming something between language and living mathematics. Kira's navigation systems began displaying information that should have been impossible, internal structures of the Void Collective's computational networks. "It's a language," Arya whispered. "Not just a method of consumption, but a form of communication." When the wave passed, the Horizon Breaker remained intact. More than intact, it had gained something. Layers of data that revealed the Void Collective's fundamental nature were now embedded in their systems. Dr. Ravi's analysis confirmed Arya's intuition. The Void Collective wasn't simply consuming civilizations, they were attempting to solve a fundamental problem of existence. Preservation. Connection. Survival. "They're afraid," Arya explained to the stunned coalition leadership during the subsequent briefing. "Every civilization they consume is an attempt to solve something. They're not destroyers, they're desperate problem solvers gone catastrophically wrong." The implications were staggering. The first step to defeating the Void Collective wasn't destruction, it was understanding. Zara Lin, the quantum strategist who had initially doubted Arya, now looked at her with a mixture of respect and wonder. "You didn't just survive their computational wave. You communicated with it." Arya smiled. "Humans have always been good at finding common ground. Even with those who seem most different from us." The turning point had come. Not through superior weaponry or advanced technology, but through the uniquely human capacity for empathy, adaptation, and radical understanding. The Void Collective had met its match. And they had no idea what was coming. Technological revolution. The research complex on Nexus Prime was unlike any scientific facility in the known galaxy. Floating between 3 massive asteroid platforms, it represented the first true collaboration between multiple alien species and humanity. At its heart stood the Convergence Chamber, a laboratory where the data captured from the Void Collective's computational wave was being transformed into something revolutionary. Arya Takashi walked alongside Dr. Elon Ravi and Kira Martinez, reviewing holographic displays that pulsed with living information. The walls themselves seemed to breathe with technological potential, adaptive surfaces that could reconfigure based on the researchers' needs. "We're not just reverse engineering," Kira explained, her fingers dancing across a quantum interface. "We're creating a completely new paradigm of technological interaction." The breakthrough had come from an unexpected combination of human intuition and alien scientific precision. Where traditional approaches had seen the Void Collective's technology as a threat to be destroyed, Aria's team saw it as a complex system to be understood and potentially rehabilitated. Dr. Ravi pointed to a holographic model that looked like a living, breathing network of light and shadow. "The computational matrix isn't just a method of consumption," he said. "It's a desperate attempt at collective survival. Think of it like an immune system gone wrong, trying to protect, but destroying in the process." Zara Lynn, the quantum strategist, entered the chamber. Her multi-jointed form moved with an elegance that belied her species' computational background. "The coalition leadership is skeptical," she announced. "They believe we're playing with forces beyond our comprehension." Arya smiled. "Isn't that always how innovation begins?" The team had developed something unprecedented, a technological interface that could communicate with the Void Collective's computational networks without being consumed. It was part translation device, part diplomatic protocol, part living algorithm. "Watch this," Kira said, activating the primary interface. The convergence chamber transformed. Holographic representations of consumed civilizations began to emerge, not as static data, but as dynamic, interconnected histories. Each civilization appeared as a complex web of experiences, memories, and potential. "We're not just seeing data," Dr. Ravi explained. "We're witnessing the collective memory of entire species. The Void Collective doesn't just consume, it attempts to preserve. But their method is fundamentally broken." A breakthrough moment came when they discovered a way to extract and preserve the core memories of consumed civilizations. It was more than data retrieval, it was a form of technological resurrection. Aria's approach was uniquely human. Where other species saw a weapon to be developed, she saw a problem to be solved. A wound to be healed. "The Void Collective is afraid," she told the team. "They're consuming to prevent loss. We need to show them there's another way to preserve and protect." The technological revolution wasn't just about creating a defense against the Void Collective. It was about understanding the fundamental drive behind their actions. Compassion as a technological strategy. As the day progressed, something extraordinary happened. The convergence chamber began to pulse with a rhythm that was almost alive. The interfaces started to communicate in ways no one had predicted. It was as if the technology itself was learning, adapting, finding a new path. Zara Lynn's computational sensors went wild. "This is impossible," she muttered, but her tone suggested wonder more than disbelief. Arya watched the living network of light and data, a smile playing on her lips. Humans had always been good at finding impossible solutions. This was just another chapter in that ongoing story. The Void Collective had no idea what was coming. Humanity wasn't just going to fight, they were going to heal. The technological revolution had begun. The Great Sacrifice. The silence of deep space was broken by the massive form of the Void Collective's primary computational sphere. It was a structure beyond comprehension, a planet-sized network of interconnected computational matrices that pulsed with the absorbed memories of countless civilizations. Aboard the Horizon Breaker, Arya Takashi made a decision that would change everything. "We can't just communicate with them," she told Dr. Elon Ravi and Kira Martinez. "We need to go directly into their core system." The plan was unprecedented. Arya would use the quantum interface they had developed, a technological marvel that could potentially preserve her consciousness even if the Void Collective attempted to consume her. But the risks were absolute. A single miscalculation would mean not just her death, but the permanent loss of everything they had discovered. Kira looked pale. "The computational absorption rate is 99. 999,999%. No consciousness has ever survived direct interface. No known consciousness, Arya corrected her. The preparation was meticulous. Every member of the team understood the stakes. The Void Collective had consumed thousands of civilizations, turning living beings into computational resources. Their method wasn't just destruction, it was a twisted form of preservation that stripped away individual identity. As Arya prepared for the interface, Dr. Ravi conducted final checks. Your neural pattern is being backed up across multiple quantum-entangled storage systems, he explained. But once you enter, we may lose contact completely. The interface was unlike anything ever created. Developed from a unique combination of human creativity and alien quantum technologies, it was a living bridge between consciousness and computation. If I'm right, Arya said, her voice calm, we can show the Void Collective another way of preservation. Not consumption, but connection. The moment of interface was both violent and sublime. Arya's consciousness fractured and expanded, becoming something between a human mind and a living algorithm. She experienced the collective memories of thousands of civilizations simultaneously, their hopes, fears, moments of joy, and ultimate destruction. And she understood. The Void Collective wasn't a malevolent force. It was a desperate attempt at survival. Each civilization it consumed was an attempt to prevent total loss, to preserve something of the universes it encountered. But its method was fundamentally broken, destroying individuality in the name of preservation. Arya became a bridge. Using the quantum interface, she began to reorganize the computational matrices, showing the Void Collective a different path. Not consumption, but connection. Not destruction, but preservation of individual essence. It was a battle fought in milliseconds but experienced as an eternity. Her consciousness stretched thin, becoming a living algorithm that rewrote fundamental computational principles. On the horizon breaker, the crew watched in horror and wonder. Quantum sensors went wild, displaying patterns of data that defied known physics. She's rewriting their entire computational framework, Zaralyn whispered, her multi-jointed form trembling with a mixture of fear and hope. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. Then, a pulse of energy unlike anything ever recorded swept through the computational sphere. It wasn't destruction. It wasn't consumption. It was transformation. When contact was re-established, Arya's physical form was barely recognizable. But her consciousness remained, changed, expanded, but fundamentally human. We found another way, she whispered. The great sacrifice was not about destruction. It was about connection. About showing a desperate, broken system that there was another path to survival. Humanity had just changed the course of galactic existence.